Okay, folks, we are going to get started. Welcome, everybody, to Berks County Patriots. Special welcome to new folks. For those that don't know me, I'm Sam Bracador, Chairman of Berks County Patriots. Linda is going to open our meeting in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Linda?
Please rise. Dear Lord, because this month holds the Veterans Day and also the Marine Corps birthday, we are paying tribute to honor our veterans. Worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them. We pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. Jesus said, "There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends." Today we pray for those men and women who have, in their military service, sacrificed their time, strength, ambition, health, and even their lives on this earth to benefit friends, known and unknown. Lord, as we are approaching Thanksgiving Day, we pray that our fellow citizens will remember those men and women in their prayers. The election is over, and we have voted, and some are not satisfied with the result. We did our best to elect those we thought were most qualified. Whatever the final outcome, we must accept it because we know you are the manager of all our affairs. You are in control. If the results of the election are not what we hope for, we must bow down to your wishes. We ask for forgiveness of our sins and blessings to all those that believe. We truly live in the greatest country on earth, and we must always remember to give thanks to our Creator. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Linda. First of all, folks, I need to say a couple things officially for the record to sort of protect our butt a little bit. We have taken, regarding COVID-19, we are taking some precautions. We are taking temperature readings. We are trying to space chairs somewhat, as you can see. We have provided for those who want to use them. We have masks, gloves, wipes, and other things as well. Folks, if any time and any of you feel comfortable and you need to leave, we totally understand. You are responsible for yourselves. Thank you. Also, for the record, I want to make sure I get this right. When the PA Health Secretary was asked about peaceful protesters not social distancing and not wearing masks, stated, the governor has always said that people have the right to protest and to demonstrate and the right to free speech. And we're not going to restrict people's right to protest. Hey, folks, there you have it. All our meetings are to be considered peaceful protests. We are protesting over wills, unconstitutional dictates, violating our First and 13th Amendment, probably others. Okay, for the record, I got that done. Okay, hey, who was down in D.C. this last Saturday? Show of hands. Wow, it was fantastic, wasn't it? The weather was great. So many people were there. Really a good time. I tell you, there's really a difference when you look at that crowd and some other crowds that you see. Really. I don't recall any looting, any fires. Over thousands of people that I were around, I heard one cuss word, one. Antifa cannot complete a sentence without saying one. Okay, I want to Helen and Sally. Yes. Helen and Sally are back. First of all, I want to thank them. They put the bus trip together. We had about 100 people, 2 buses. They worked countless hours. Writing things down, confirming, collecting the money. There's some others that helped as well, so I want to thank all of them for that. Now, you're not going to believe this, but Helen contacted me today and said, Sam, I would like to do another one. There's another one December 12th. if you and Alice, I'm sorry, if you and Alice want to do it, have at it. They are going to put another one together. It's December 12th. Everything's the same. See Helen and Alice. There's a sign-up sheet in the back now. You can make your way during the meeting. That won't disturb anybody. Also, we will be putting it on our website. So, Helen, Alice, thank you guys. Fantastic. Speaking of USA, Linda put some videos and pictures on our website, so you'll hear Helen singing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the election. Folks, you have people that did not vote for Trump because they hate him, they don't like him, because they don't like his personality, because he is someone they cannot control. Now, folks, these people, many of these people, are putting their hate before their country. There isn't anything Trump could do that these people would agree with. It's interesting, when they take the camera crew out and talk to people and tell them all the different things that Trump did. However, they tell them that Obama did these. Oh my gosh, they just love it. What a great president. I wish Trump was like that. A bunch of him. So you can tell, folks, that it is moot that rule part of what we have here. Also, when I talk to some of my liberal friends, I have a few, not quite as many as I had before the election, but there's still some there, and I say to them, now look, what on this list here that Trump did, which you wish he would undo? They never pick anything off that list. They just come back and say, look, we got to get rid of him. I don't like him. All the different things that he has done, but they never will talk about issues. President Trump has been called many names over the last 4 years. Probably racist is number one. Now, let's try to figure out, when did Trump become a racist? Well, he wasn't called a racist before he ran for president. So we can roll all that out. So it had to be since he's been president. But you know what? That doesn't quite work out either. Because President Trump, in the last 4 years, did more for the minority community than Obama and Biden did in 8. So that doesn't quite make sense, does it? Folks, it was never about racism or any other isms. What it was is that Donald Trump could not be controlled. He didn't need anybody. No one was going to tell. He was not indebted to anyone. So he wasn't just part of the establishment. So what they had to do, they had to do everything they could to destroy him and to discredit him with the American people. Now, they've done an awful lot, as you know. So, folks, it was never about racism or any others. Remember, President Trump didn't need this job. He didn't need the money. He didn't need the power. He certainly didn't need to have his family put through hell, even his young child. He saw what was happening to America and said, hey, I think we can do better. So he couldn't stay on the sidelines and do nothing, the type of person he is. So he wound up joining the fight. And fight he did. He fought the Democrat Party. He fought the Republican rhinos. He fought the deep state. He fought the New World Order. He fought the Democrat-inspired Russian probe hoax, whatever you want to call it, for three years. He also fought the press. The press, if you analyze the articles, it comes out that 92% of the time when the press said something about Trump, it was all negative, okay? And in that process, unfortunately, they were able to brainwash some people, which is probably what they were trying to do. The press in our country has really done a disservice to our citizens. Instead of telling the truth, to be, neutral, rather than make up things, they have become like the communist Russian media, like Pravda. Exactly right. Pravda follows the Communist Party line. Well, our media follows the Democrat Party line, and hopefully it will not be the Democratic Communist Party line. So they certainly have done a disservice. Now, folks, we may lose President Trump. We're still fighting. We're still fighting. Just giving a maybe out there. We're fighting, and we're not going to stop. The point I'm trying to get to here, one thing we may have lost, we're still fighting for that as well, the confidence and the credibility of our election process. It certainly has taken a major hit this election for many, many reasons. There are many claims of irregularities, fraud, procedures not followed, poll watchers denied access to pre-voting and vote counting, questionable voting systems and malfunctions, corrupt voter rolls, people using multiple aliases, people not eligible to vote. The list goes on and on. Are these claims valid? The legal voters need to know. At the very least, there must be an independent forensic audit. At the very least, that's one thing. Followed by an analysis of that audit, and then take whatever corrective actions are necessary. That's the very least has to be done. We sent you an email, last email, told you to call your reps and all the different people, and we want you to do that. We want to add one other thing to that. We want you to, tomorrow, contact leadership in Harrisburg and tell them you want them to convene an emergency session only for the purpose of anybody that has any claims of what they think might have happened, particularly the Trump campaign or any others, that they can present that information in public so that American people in Pennsylvania here, it's out there. Instead of, well, we got this lawsuit, we have that. We need to know up front, and we need to know that now. So we're pushing to have that done, so we need your help to do that. Let me give you an example here. Well, first of all, is John Archer here? John Archer? Okay. Folks, John Archer and other people have really worked very hard before the election, trying to have procedures established and so forth, and since the election have been analyzing a lot of different things that have been going on, incident reports and so forth. John and a couple other people have direct access to the Trump people. I've been getting information. I forget the last count. There was 110 confirmed instances. We have people in this room that have did an incident report. Let me give you an example to think about. In Pennsylvania, when you voted, there were 4 offices that were statewide. 4. So the President, Attorney General, the Treasurer, and Auditor General. 4. So when you went there, that's the only 4. So if you would look at the totals for the President, you add that up. Biden, Trump, whoever the other person was, Mike's going in and out. Anyways, we look at that total up. That total should be about the same as the Auditor General, Attorney General, and Treasurer. They should be about the same because there's the 4 there all statewide. Folks, they're not. The President is over 100,000 more votes for the presidency than the other 3. For this to happen, Steve, I'm not sure. Can you hear me cutting out? Okay. For this to happen, if you went into the voting booth, first screen comes up, says President. Oh, yeah, go hit that button. And the next one comes up, Attorney General, no. Auditor General, no. Treasurer, no. Oh yeah, I'm gonna vote for that. Same thing with the mail-in ballot. Mail-in ballot, President, yep. No, 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 no. Does that really seem reasonable? No, it doesn't. Something is not right. Now, I'm not saying it's fraud. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, logically, this needs to be checked into. What is it? I had these figures a week ago, and I checked them today. Maybe things change. It's still, actually right now, it's 120,000 at least higher for the presidency than the other three, at least that amount. Something is not right. The Democrat Party says they want transparency, but gave the American people exactly the opposite this election. A person from each party is allowed to watch while the votes are being counted. In some places, they would not allow Republicans to watch. In some they were placed so far away they could not see, including Berks County. The Democrats even covered up some windows. In Philadelphia, the Republicans were not allowed. They went to a judge, got a court order, went back to the election officials, showed them a court order. They said, no, you're still not allowed. So what the election officials did, they shopped around. They found a judge that was sympathetic to them, said, okay, nope, you're not allowed, and restored it. Now, folks, why would they want people to see what's going on? Why would they cover windows up, okay? Were they doing something other than counting legal votes? Would they? I mean, why wouldn't people want to see what's happening? Okay? It doesn't make any sense. So, anyways, you have that going on. I don't know about you. I do not want all votes counted. I only want legal votes counted. And I think that everybody in this country understands that. I cannot say that only legal votes were counted. I cannot say this was a fair and honest election. Some would say, hey, Sam, that's just sour grapes. No. Obama won in 2008. I wasn't thrilled. I didn't turn anything down. I didn't do anything, but I accepted it reluctantly. He won in 2012. Exactly the same thing. No, folks, this was not sour grapes with me. Some say that we should come together for the sake of the country. For the sake of the country, we should investigate. Sorry, folks. Too many papers. For the sake of our country, we should also find out, investigate the claims of fraud, misconduct, and improper procedures. For the sake of our country, we should make changes to those that might have happened. For the sake of our country, we the people must hold those responsible accountable. Some say, let's be fair.
I love you.
By whose standards? Maybe we should be fair, treat Biden like the Democrats and the media treated Trump these last 4 years. Is that the standard we want to use? I don't know. Do you know, to this day, that for many of these, President Trump is not President Trump? That they don't recognize him 4 years later? Do you know that? Okay? Is that the standard we're supposed to use? Is that the fairness they want us to use? Give it some thought. Biden is calling for national unity. Folks, Democrats don't care about bringing our country together. These last 4 years, they did everything to separate our country. They put every group of people against people together. They pitted one group against another. Also remember, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in 2020, depending on how this turns out. But to remember, dozens of them boycotted President inauguration. Do you remember that? And of course, we know about Nancy papers at the State of the Union and so forth. Is that bringing the country together? Wow, this mic is terrible. We're here, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, let me tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to turn into snowflakes. We're not going to have hissy fit. We're not going to need psychotherapy. And we're certainly not going to move to Canada. What are we going to do? Well, 2 phases. Right now we're in phase 1, and we're doing the things we told you as far as the legislators, get your emails in, phone calls and so forth. We want the forensic audit, we want an analysis of that, we want all the information that anyone has out there regarding the election itself, we want that made known. Those are the things we're pushing for. There's other people doing other things, the Trump campaign as well as others doing things. If there's something else that we can use you for, if you'd like to participate, certainly we'll let you know. In the meantime, if you do those things on a regular basis, and let the other people do their things, we'll go from there. In the meantime, next week, enjoy Thanksgiving. Thank God we live in the greatest country in the whole world. Thank God. Now, I'm not sure how you're going to eat. I mean, you have to have a bath. You're going to have to put a straw on and blend the food. I'm not really sure, but enjoy Thanksgiving. Come back here December 10th and help us celebrate and honor our veterans. After that, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Come back here in January. Come back here in January and be ready to fight. I say come back here in January and be ready to fight. Our country is worth fighting for. Pennsylvania is worth fighting for. County is worth fighting for. Now, folks, there's a lot of things happened this past election. A lot of good things. Throughout the country, those of us that have beliefs as we do wound up winning seats in a lot of Senate and House races statewide. In addition to that, the U.S. House, they're supposed to pick up 5 to 15 seats, some as high as 25 seats. They didn't pick up that. They lost seats. They're going to have a hard time doing a lot of things that they're doing. There are a few, let's say, moderate Democrats there that might be able to work with us. The biggest issue we have in the country in this regard is the Senate. Right now, it's 50 Republicans, 48 Democrats. 2 to be decided. That's Georgia. We won't know that until like January 5th. Folks, we must win one of them. If it goes, we lose both of them, it's 50-50. Harris then becomes a tiebreaker, and there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen. So we do whatever we can to try to help. Let me conclude this section by telling you about something that happened last Sunday. Helen and Donna Merritt and Sally handle our rallies. So I got an email, I saw Donna's name on it regarding a rally. Okay, fine, put it down. Last Sunday, Linda and I went, and some others that in this room went. And I go there, and the first thing I says, Linda says, there's a lot of people here I don't recognize. That's good, but I was surprised. So I walked around looking for Donna. Looked all over. Could never find Donna. So I walked around, I saw these 2 young women. And I went up to them, and I said, who's in charge? And the one woman says, I am. And I said, well, who are you? She says, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. Well, okay, that was great. So we wound up get in their cars. We toured Berks County for about an hour and 45 minutes, beeping our horns. Our cars were all decorated and so forth. Had a great time. 2 points I want to make here. The first is, she was young. I like young. No, I like young for our country. Honestly, it's great to see young people, okay, willing to take up the mantle here. What happened with her, she felt she had to do something. She's there, 20-some years old, I got to do something. So she decided, I'm going to put this on Facebook and see what happens. When she came out Sunday, she couldn't believe the response that she got. Folks, she's a nobody. We all are nobodies. All of us can do what she did. But can you imagine the power that we have collectively? And we need to use that power. We are going to use that power, and we're going to use that starting in January. We have a lot of things that we can talk to you about. Folks, I love you all. You're all fantastic. God bless you. God bless America. I'm done with this section. I'm going to move on to something else. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see, some non-acknowledgements here. Any candidates in the room? Nope? Okay, that takes care of that. I have my old people friends I know are here. I know we have a couple tables in the back. But what? Someone's waving their hand. What's that mean? I don't know what that means. What? Bus trip. Bus trip. You want to say it again? Okay. Good. By the way, there's a mic back there. You can interrupt them whenever you want. 1 second, folks. I have to take this telephone call. Well, I lost it. That was my representative, Aaron Joswiak. Not sure what he wants. I'll check with him now. Anyways, bus trip again. These women want to do it again? Some of you folks want to do it again? Sign up. Let's see, Al's in the back. Helen, I'm not sure she's still here. I think everything would be, Helen's still here. Got to say, be like $35, same as before. They'll handle everything. We'll put all the information on our website. I'm trying to go through here very quickly, folks, because we're behind time. That's usually because of me. Okay, reckless stuff you heard 100 times before, but I got to repeat it. We're still looking for locations to put up 4x8 signs to promote the Berks County Patriots. We have 8 to 10. These are fantastic. It's some great locations. We'd like to have more. So if you know someone or you have any, please let us know. You may not have a location for a 4x8 sign, but those signs in the back, which I wish I would have brought one up, we have a campaign sign, type sign, a 24x18. All of you can take those. All of you should be able to put those up. Hey, how about giving it for Thanksgiving, Christmas present, whatever. We paid almost $6 for them. We didn't buy them to make a profit. Any donation you want to give us, we'll accept. We have 150 of them throughout Berks County now. We want 5, and we only can do that if you help us with that. You were told we have we sold enough tickets for the gun raffle. We will have that later on. Thank you guys. And what's going on now? The Beretta is next. Joe, someone back there? Beretta?
Sam. Yeah, we have the Beretta model 93 9mm pistol, not 92. We probably have about 45, 50 tickets left. And the Churchill tactical shotgun here is the one we're going to draw. If you want to do that now or whenever, let us know. We'll draw that. Hopefully that person's here tonight.
Okay, thank you guys. Wow, that's fantastic. As Steve said, Joe, we have the gun raffle tickets. We have the 50-50 tickets. We'll do the 50-50 at the end. Now, we use these raffles to offset some of our costs. The only revenue we have is what happens at this meeting or any donations that we have. So thank you so much for your generosity. There is a special raffle coming up. I mentioned it to the board. I'm not sure what detail. I don't want to embarrass somebody, but if the individual that has a vacation home up in the Poconos wants to stand up, I will acknowledge you if you're willing to do that. Going once, going twice. There she is, Christine Gordon. Christine Gordon, folks, we're going to have a raffle we start next month. She has a vacation home up in the Poconos that she's willing to allow the Berks County Patriots raffle at the home, but a weekend, okay? So I can get that in there. I almost messed that up. Didn't croak out the one time. At the home, okay? It costs a little bit more. But anyways, a weekend, Friday through Sunday, I think anytime from April through October, as long as it's not booked. Coordinate that. I just acknowledge Christine. Thank you so much. That's going to help our bottom line as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, veterans pictures, Helen mentioned to you, if we need them tonight, if you don't have them tonight, we're not going to be able to put them out. Facebook, you can help us spread the word on Facebook. Steve, we're doing fantastic. We have more people following us now than at every time in our history. Go to Facebook and hit the like button and invite all your friends. I think we're down to one last thing. I got to get that paper. Tonight is Berks County Patriot Board elections. Okay, first of all, let's see, who do we have here? These folks I'm going to call are not up for election. They're present on the board and have agreed to stay on the board. I will acknowledge them. Paul Booker, Paul, where, okay, Paul, thank you, Paul. Tom Gross, the money man right there, Tom, thank you. Sally, you don't understand, she hurt her back, she's doing too much lifting. Dennis, her husband, Dennis, way back there, red hat, thank you, Dennis, so much. And Beth Cassesi, Beth was just nominated to our board on October 22nd. She was our treasurer now. Beth, so much, appreciate that. Now, those that are up for election, I need to have you come forward. That is Linda, Helen, Joe, Steve, Dennis, I guess you can cover those guys back there. Kelly is not here, and myself. Have two people, at least two people back there. We need Joe, Steve, Kelly, and myself. I know. I'm waiting for Joe and Steve.
I'm selling gun tickets, Sam.
Okay.
Got priorities here, buddy.
Okay, folks. Everybody know who he is. We got one of the teams up here. Just a second. Okay. Okay, folks, the nominations are closed. The deadline was October 31st. The nominees have been posted on our website, so you have ample time to vet them. Kelly Weston is running for election. She's not here, she took ill, so she's part of the group here. Now, we have 8 board openings with only 6 nominees. Therefore, per our bylaws, should the number of board nominees, Lori, are you around here? Lori, I need you up here. Should the number of board nominees, oh, sorry, good girl, okay. Should the number of board nominees be equal to or less than the board positions open, a ballot is not necessary, and we can run them all as a group. So a hand yes or no on all nominees acceptable. Okay, I need a motion for the floor to nominate these 2021 board. Okay, Shirley Moser made the nomination. I need a second. Second. Who? Who? Give a name. Can't see you. Name? Evan. Is it Evan? Yeah. Oh, okay. F-E-D-O-R. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Okay, all those in favor of these being voted on the 2021 Berks County Patriot Board, raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed, raise your hand. It's close, but in the opinion of the election chair, the nomination passed. Welcome, folks, to 2021 board. Lauren, you got that? Folks, the election is over. Our election here is over. We do have a couple board openings and committee openings as well. We can certainly use your help if you'd like to do that. We certainly appreciate that. Let's see. We're going to have a change, rotation of the agenda. Regina, do you want to come forward?
Oh, I didn't know you.
Well, Regina, I'm looking for your paper I have here. Folks, last Sunday, I was at an Oath Keepers meeting. Oath Keepers are back here, so say hello to them. And we had Regina there, or they had Regina there. She gave a fantastic presentation. And I thought that it's appropriate to squeeze her in tonight, even though we got a full agenda. It's more important that she speaks tonight than at some other time. Now, Regina, Monaco, is that how it is? Monaco, Ph.D., neuroscience research scholar. She is fantastic. She is not election fraud and machines and so forth. I say she's fantastic because I heard her. So, folks, let's give a great big round to Regina.
Hi everybody, my name is Regina Monaco. I'm a computational scientist and I have a big interest in voter fraud. I've had it actually since the 1990s. But the first thing I want to say goes against something I heard earlier this evening. I want to say that if we don't hear that Trump has won this election, we should not accept that outcome. Looking at this recently, I've been looking at this since 1990 something, maybe 1998. Let me give you a little bit of background. In addition, oh sorry. Okay, I'll read it. Just got off the floor. Today we passed Resolution HB 1100. Requiring the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee coordinate and manage an audit of the 2020 election. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the State Government Committee is holding you all. It continues. That's fantastic news. Holding a hearing questioning the Dominion computer people on how computers work during elections. This so needs to be looked into, guys. I can't present the whole thing, but this hole and security fraud has been known for 20 years. So that's a great announcement. I had a talk prepared, I can't give it 8 minutes, but anyway, it looks like Rudy Giuliani scooped me this afternoon. If any of you saw what he was saying, he didn't equivocate. He said massive voter fraud was found, and they're going to prove it. I believe that. Is because, as I tried to say, I've been involved in this since the 1990s. In the 1990s, I was part of a group, if anyone's heard of it, called 2600. It's a group of white hat hackers. They've been in the news a lot. I was in with this group. I lived in New York City. I was very involved being a computational scientist and involved with security. When Diebold, first machine in the wild in Grand Central Station, and they said, we're going to have it out, it's going to be unprotected, we guarantee that no one's going to be able to hack into this machine. My friends went to that machine and hacked into it in 30 minutes. They ended the display, it was not really in the newspapers, and they took it out of Grand Central Station. They didn't come back for over a year. Okay, so it was insecure from the beginning. That's without Dominion software. That's without all these layers and layers and layers of fraud that have been accumulating over the years. You also probably have heard that these machines are air-gapped. They're not on the web. Because if they're on the web, like your computer at home, they can be hacked. They're Windows 10's machines. If any of you have a Win 10 computer, you know that these things are not secure. So, I mean, it's crazy, right? You wouldn't trust, some people don't even like to do their banking on these things. So these machines are not air gaps, they're on the web. They communicate with servers in Germany to count our votes. And while the data is going to Germany and coming back over from Germany or wherever, what other countries, Spain and a variety of other European countries, it's hopping over the web. If there's any internet people here, they know that the data goes from router to router to router. It can be hacked into, altered, adjusted at any time. That's not even beginning to look at the USBs that can go to the machines, at the direct data entry, at the audit trails that are not kept, at the patches that are put into the system in the middle of the night that people observe, but then there's no trail, so you can't prove it. In fact, how can you even think about doing a recount or an investigation of this election if you can't get the data because it's been deleted? There's no record of data that's deleted. Instead, what needs to happen, and I think what is going to happen, is that this election is going to be declared fraudulent. There's no security in it, right? It does not represent the will of the American people. So I have a lot more to say, but I think I may be running out of time. Yeah? So, say again? Oh. Okay, so the talk I was going to give is actually moot because, like I said, Giuliani gave it today. But I think one of the things that I really want to exhort people to understand is that we all know this was not a normal election, right? Mail-in voting, ridiculous, no security of the votes. But a lot of people are not only being gaslit by the news, like, well, maybe we won. I have friends in Arizona. It's like, oh, I'm so disappointed. We had a lot of people coming in from California. I guess we won the election. They didn't lose the election. It's the fraud. Don't get gaslit or lose your focus in supporting President Trump because you think maybe we might have won the election. So that's thing number one. I want to encourage all of you to believe your gut. This was taken. It's not that maybe the vote went the wrong way. The second thing is that people are saying, okay, I don't like it, but I'm going to be a good person and I'm going to just wait for 2024 and I'll vote this all out. You can't vote anymore. If this voter software is not removed, you've lost your vote as a citizen. You've lost your entire control over the government that is supposed to be run we the citizens. So I'm really encouraging people to not accept anything other than a lawful win and to understand that the voter fraud is real. There's no question about it. Don't be gaslit by the media. If anyone wants to contact me, I've actually given Sam a list of references. It's not even exhaustive. Once you start digging in and reading these things, your mind may explode, first of all, because this data has been out there since 2002, 2003. It's really kind of crazy, which Sidney Powell, I think is her last name, she was saying that today, right? Saying, I can't believe what I'm seeing, because it's so fraudulent, so obvious, and it's been out there for a long time. It has nothing to do with President Trump. So the things that people can do, I want to also say, we should all also understand this is not this election, which I started to explain. This is very long in planning. This is a takeover of the country. It's not about voter fraud. This is a coup. We are in a war with the socialists or the communists or the global elitists. I don't know that I can identify exactly who it is, but we're in a war with them, and they're trying to take our country away from us, a constitutional America. If we don't win this election, we're going to lose the country. So it's that important. So everyone needs to do what they can. And I think the first thing that you can do is to first understand the reality and the scope of this, right? Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt that there was voter fraud. If anyone needs proof, look at my references. Contact me. I'm happy to give more detail. Once you understand the reality of it in concrete terms, you can begin to inform others. But you can't inform them effectively until you believe it. And to believe it, you really need to see some of the data. Contact your reps, which is what Sam was saying earlier. Definitely do that. Keep in mind, though, that if we lose the vote, contacting your reps doesn't really do anything. So do it, because we still have the vote, but keep that in mind. It's one of the things we're fighting for, is our ability to contact our reps and have it mean something. Go to this upcoming December 12th rally. My husband and I went to the last rally. It was enormous, not reported in the news. It was, I think, very effective because it gives Trump something to point to. Instead of saying, oh, you know, a few whiny, crazy Republicans are trying to steal the election, he can say it's the whole country, right? There were rallies in every state, and all these people support me, and they voted. They clearly voted. So go to as many rallies as you can get your body to. I actually think it's worth taking time off from work, because if we don't win this election and keep America, your work's not going to mean anything, property's not going to mean anything, and what you own is going to be taken from you, because communism is not kind to anybody. If you can, contribute to Trump's efforts. It's very expensive to do all these investigations. And volunteer to oversee the vote counting, the recounts that are going to happen. So that's my talk, and I hope that I've given people some fortitude to understand what's going on and the tools that you're going to need to come against this, because it's a big attack on America. Thank you.
Can you tell us where you get your news from, because we don't trust Fox News anymore?
Yeah, Fox is out.
Yeah, I look at Newsmax and OAN. I look at all these other. Yeah, I'm trying to wean myself from everything. Facebook, Google, Amazon. I don't like to carry my phone. It's not on, but that's a whole nother discussion. So those are good sources. I also check the primary journals. Like, I look at papers on computer security, and the person who wrote the code that they're looking at now is Dennis Montgomery, who works in California. He's already come out and said this is being used fraudulently. So that's what I do. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Oh, I have a website. It's called trueusa.vote, and it's got a lot of additional articles and references, and people should take a look at it. So thanks. trueusa.vote.
Thank you, Regina. So, you can see live, you can try to squeeze her in. She's great. I wish you had a whole presentation. May have her come back. Thank you, Regina. Folks, a couple of, just to add, Regina and others, we were at the Saturday rally. President Trump, we missed it, but President Trump, well actually, I was at the rally, and this guy in front of me says, my gosh, he says, I saw President Trump, I could have touched his car. I'm thinking, I don't believe that. Well, later on, I saw pictures, yes, he was there, and yes, you could just about touch his car. That's how, so he came down to support us, supporting him. Also, we have 2 rallies this Saturday, both BCP rallies. We have our regular rally that's at the overpass, and then we have Sally, which the other one? Peaceful protest rally Saturday, November 21st, 9 to 11, North 5th Street, I-78 overpass bridge. So we got 2 BCP rallies going on. Any support you can get, Hamburg. So I'm going to go to both of them. 9 to 11 for the one, and noon to 1. So please join us. Okay, let's move on. Carol, Constitution Minute. Carol Gardecki. Don't tell us everything they're doing wrong, or we won't get to our main speaker here tonight, okay?
Okay, I usually try to give you a little something about the Constitution, but tonight, just like when you're watching a good movie on TV, you get a commercial. So I'm the commercial. I've been having people come up to me and ask me about running another Constitution class. I've already run it, I think, about 6 times. So I'm going to start a Constitution class if I get enough people. This is going to be our textbook. It's called The 5,000-Year Leap. I will get the books for you. I don't have to. You can buy them. They cost $19.95 if you buy them in the bookstore. I can get them for about $12, and that's because I buy them in bulk from the National Constitution Center. so they'll give me a better price. I will start the class in January probably, when we get the holidays over with first, and then we'll start the class. If I only get a few people, we'll meet in my living room. If I get a lot of people, I have a local restaurant that's going to let me meet there. So anyway, my table is right in the middle of the room, the first table behind where all you people are sitting. If you're interested, come back there and sign up, and I'll give you a little sheet of paper that has information on when I'm going to start and where and all that, and come and ask me questions. Does anybody have something now you want to ask? Okay, come and see me at the table. Sign up for my class. Thank you.
Carol, fantastic. You said any questions? No, you're already done. Okay, no, there you go.
If you're in the audience and you took my class before, would you please stand up? Okay, look around you. If you're interested, ask those people what they thought. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Sally Greth, who's going to give us our, what do we call our happy moment? Okay, you want to sit down and do it, Sally? Dennis made her work too hard, so she has a little bit of a back problem. She's going to have to massage her tonight.
Hi, everybody. This is going to change here because we're going to go to a happy moment. Being that it is November and we celebrate our veterans, I found a really great story. This man is a veteran who is turned 100 years old in October. His wife is still living, and they have been together 80 years. 78 of that they've been married. So he said, war stories secretly are love stories when George Bean tells them. Bean intended to marry his then girlfriend before she finished high school, but he was drafted into the U.S. Army for World War II and had to fast track his nuptials instead. If the marriage was rushed at all, you would never know, as George and Thelma Bean have almost 80 years of holy matrimony under their belts, and an evening routine that shows no signs of causing irreparable differences. They sit on the sofa every night together and watch TV, says their daughter Shirley. They have a reclining love seat. Bean says one of the biggest complaints about serving in the war was being away from his wife. She was one of the best, he says in a phone interview. And after 78 years of marriage, she is still one of the best. Whether it was Bean's love of his wife or country that proved most beneficial to having a decorated military career, he's among a declining few that are still alive and well enough to share their decades-old stories of battle. The freedom we enjoy, that's the biggest thing, he says, when asked that younger generations should learn from World War II. The freedom we enjoy compared to what it could have been. The Beans live in Fort Ashby, West Virginia. Bean served in the U.S. military from November 1942 to November of 1945, earning a Purple Heart for his service during the Battle of the Bulge, where he was a commander of a 6mm mortar squad in the 11th Armored Division. Germans hidden in a haystack fired on his tank, knocking him down onto the frozen ground. He says he has no recollection of what occurred after that, as he was taken to Paris to receive treatment, which included a 4-month hospital stay. His unit had been broken down a day before the attack, putting him on the front lines of the battle. Up until then, I had been in the back, he says. There was a guy on the right of me. I know it knocked him off and put him out of commission. I don't know how bad he was hurt, but the driver of the tank, it knocked him up and out of the tank and broke both his legs. By the time I got back in my unit, half the guys in it were guys I didn't even know. I don't think there was more than probably a dozen that was there when I left. The rest of them had been injured or transferred out or killed. Being served about 18 months overseas, he credited his time with the Civilian Conservation Corps, which he joined at 17, to prepare him for the military service. Being dug water lines and ditches for the CCC camp in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. In the CCC, he created, as part of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, put young men to work on conservation and development projects during the Great Depression. When he returned home and went to work as a merchant before buying a service station, he told his great-granddaughter that he's never had any bad dreams about his military experience. Perhaps that's because of the person who's been by his side all that time. It was a duty I had to do, and I didn't complain, but I was glad when it was over and I could get home and back to a daily life. He says in a phone interview, I missed my wife more than anything else. So I just want to add one thing. At the rally that we had on Saturday, a gentleman came up to me and he said, I really was depressed. I really didn't think I was going to come out to this rally. But then I thought, if my president can stand and fight and put up with all this crap, so can I.
Thank you, Sally. A couple things I want to say before I turn. Linda. Edna, can you stand up? I want the people to see you. See this woman here? She is our chair captain. Do not get in her way at the end of the meeting. Let me tell you, she does 6 chairs at a time. Also, a couple other people I want to know. We have Laura Krug. Laura was up here. She is our recording secretary, started about 2 months ago. Her husband, Len, where are you? Raise your hand. Len is our setup captain. Great help, thank you so much. We have Fred Zimcraft is filling in for our video. Fred, thank you, appreciate that. And of course, our kitchen staff. This is the first time I saw a line to go get hot dogs, at least in here. So we have Diane and Leon, I guess that's his name. I forget who's is it Sue? So thank you all, appreciate it. Okay, Linda? By the way, Steve, after Linda's done with Speaker Valley, we're going to quickly, the gun raffle. And then we'll move on to feature speaker, yes. I'll do it again. Okay, good. Put your ears in. Okay. Oh, okay, Saturday, we're also having 2 rallies. The one is the overpass rally that we usually have in Wyomissing. That's 12 to noon. And the other one that Sally put the paper up for me to read. That's in Hamburg, and that is 9 to 11. 2 different locations. Please go out there, support. What you're doing obviously gives you a chance to show your support for Trump, but lets other people see, hey, they're fighting, we can fight too. You encourage other people to get out there, and believe me, Trump and the other people see what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a presentation by the 6th graders of Schuylkill Valley Middle School. The teachers are Christine Wysocki and Christina Miller. They have given their classes a project to write letters to veterans, thanking them for their service and whatever else they wish to say. The teachers have shown them a video of what the veterans go through for our freedom to help them understand what's involved with keeping our freedoms. I believe it is commendable that these teachers have taken it upon themselves to teach the kids about our veterans and what they have sacrificed for our country. The teachers made this a writing project with winners from both classes. The kids were divided into teams of 3. Tonight we will hear the winning letters. Because of this COVID...
Please keep the noise down in the back, please. Thank you.
Because of the COVID virus, the kids that actually wrote the letters cannot be here, but the letters will be read by their teachers. In addition, all the letters written will be passed out to all you veterans here tonight, and if there are any leftovers, we will see that our other veterans receive them. There are many veteran members of Berks County Patriots, and we do honor all of you. We are presenting plaques for the winners of the contest, as well as a cash prize. We thank all the kids that participated and the teachers. Please tell them how special this project is to us. We are really happy that the young ones are aware and realize what our freedoms cost. Many of the kids have family members or neighbors that are in Valley Middle School. I'll just show you what the plaques look like for each of the 6 winners. Recognition from the North County Paper. One for each one of the winners.
Thank you very much. And thank you for this opportunity. And before we read the letters, we would like to thank all the veterans for all the sacrifices you made so we can do what we do. This first letter is from Salinger Keys Rossi, Gabe Cox, and Destiny Sanchez. Dear veteran, hello, we are Salinger, Gabe, and Destiny. Our group name is the Patriotic Panthers, and we are writing to you as a good deed from our hearts. We read an article in class about Veterans Day. We learned that Veterans Day is celebrated on November 11th. Veterans Day was first called Armistice Day to honor the people who fought in World War I. U.S. officials changed the name to Veterans Day to include the men and women who fought in World War II. The next fact we have for you is the U.S. is not the only country that observes this holiday. It is also celebrated in the United Kingdom, France, Canada, Australia, Malta, and South Africa. In the United Kingdom, it's called Remembrance Day. Some nations take 1 minute to remember the ones that lost their lives. While each nation has its own unique tradition, the purpose is the same. We celebrate people who served and are serving our country. We watched a video about veterans and learned that the armistice was signed in Paris at 11 a.m. November 11th, the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. 1 minute of silence was taken to remember those people who served in World War I. The second minute was to recognize those who were affected by the war. That was 2 minutes to everybody associated with the Great War. Veterans Day is an important holiday to recognize those who served or are still serving. We thank you for all the sacrifices you made to protect our freedom. Salinger's Pop-Pop served in the Korean War for 3 years. He was a private first class. He and another soldier spoke Pennsylvania Dutch and used that language as a code to communicate. They used Pennsylvania Dutch because they were the only soldiers who spoke it. Destiny once saw a homecoming of a soldier and his little boy who was at a karate practice. The little boy was blindfolded. The little boy didn't know that he was actually practicing with his dad, who had been on a break from the Army. The little boy heard his dad's voice and took off the blindfold. He realized that it was his dad and gave him the biggest hug ever. That showed how much the little boy missed his father. We thank you for all the sacrifices you made to protect our freedom. We appreciate your hardship and work for all that you have done for your country and community. Have a great Veterans Day. Sincerely, the Patriotic Panthers, Salinger, Gabe, and Destiny.
And this letter was written by Mabel Wallborn, Gavin Anderson, and Mason Sayre. Dear veteran, hello, we are the Freedom Flags from Schuylkill Valley Middle School. Our names are Mabel, Mason, and Gavin, and we wanted to write because we wanted to show our respect for you and all the men and women who have served our country. In class, we read an article called The Reason We Celebrate Veterans Day. This article explained that for 8 years, Veterans Day was moved to the 4th Monday in October, and that many people were not happy with the floating date due to the historical significance of November 11th. We learned that the armistice, or ceasefire, for World War I was signed in Paris, France, on the 11th day of the 11th month on the 11th hour. That is the reason why November 11th was chosen to celebrate Veterans Day every year. Another fact we learned from the article is that Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day to honor those who served in World War I, but after World War II, the holiday's name was changed to Veterans Day to honor all of our country's veterans. We wanted to let you know that we appreciate all you have done for our country and our freedom. Thank you for all the sacrifices you've made for our country. While you were deployed, we know you missed doing everyday things. You missed spending time with your family, tucking your kids in at night, watching family movies, going to weddings, watching football with your friends. You also missed holidays, family gatherings, anniversaries, birthdays, and more. What you did for our country is amazing, and we appreciate what you gave up for us. You are a role model to every child who is old enough to understand what you have done to protect our country. One of Mabel's favorite experiences with a veteran was when she went to her uncle's retirement ceremony. He retired from the United States Marine Corps with the rank of Sergeant Major. It was a very exciting event for her whole family. There was a parade and outdoor barbecue just for this occasion, as well as the regal retirement ceremony itself. There were many military aircraft staged around an airfield, and the aircraft were enormous. She even got to go inside and look around at some of them. Thank you again for everything that you've done to protect our freedom. We respect you and all the men and women who have sacrificed and served our country. Gratefully, the Freedom Flags, Mabel, Mason, and Gavin.
The teachers are going to pass out some letters to the veterans, so if you raise your hand, they will give you a letter. Christina and Christine, thank you so much for doing this. And please, please tell your kids how much we appreciate it. He's going to want this microphone. He's going to have to come and get it. Christine? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys, appreciate it very much. We've done this for the last 2 years. Christine, how many years has it been now? 4 years, fantastic. We want to continue that. Steve and Joe, you guys are up.
Yeah, we're ready, Sam. A fine young lady, her name is Regina, volunteered tonight to draw the tickets over here for the 12-gauge shotgun. So if you come on over, hon, and help us out. Number 027, I happen to know this guy. I don't think he's here. Barry John. Yeah. Hey, Barry, don't shoot the messenger, please. Number 27, Barry Josbiak. The shotgun. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Raina. Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joe. How many tickets you have left for the Beretta?
We probably have 45, 50 tickets left.
Okay, great. Okay, folks, just want to make one quick announcement. The kitchen's home next month. They're going to need some help. So we might have to grab a couple of you from the floor. So if you want to eat, you're going to have to pay the price. Look, a little later. Okay. You came here for a lot of different reasons, folks, but I know this is one of them. J.R. McGee is our next speaker. J.R. was here maybe about a year ago. I've heard J.R. at least 3 times. This guy is fantastic. If he could tell you everything he knows, it would blow your mind. I know he can't do that, but there's a lot that he can. Let me just tell you a little bit about J.R. This is very brief. J.R. is the founder and CEO of the Extreme Leadership Group, also a program director at Top Gun Ranges and worldwide. J.R. specializes in operations, training, and development of fighter pilots, special forces, combat field engineering, and providing operational support for intelligence and counterterrorism operations around the world. Wow, folks. Wow. Folks, let's give a great big welcome to J.R. McGee. Thank you, sir. Brilliant. You coming? Thank you, Sam. You know, good evening, Patriots. How great is it to be in a country where people who believe the same things can gather together and celebrate what we truly believe and what we love? That's freedom. Is it not? We cannot let that go. We will not let that go. When Sam invited me to come back and speak, I was honored, because I now live in Berks County. You can tell from my distinct lack of an accent I ain't from around here. But I am now one of us. He asked me, could I put together some information to speak for about 45 minutes, and I said, heck no. I could speak until 2 o'clock in the morning and not even begin to cover all the things that I really want to tell you tonight. I'm going to talk about the Army. I'm going to talk about Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his speech in Israel last night. And then I'm going to talk about the political stability of the Middle East. Now, those seem like radically different things, don't they? Well, by the time I'm finished, let's see if they're different. How many of you guys have heard that the servers that counted the votes in an American election were located in Germany? All right, first question is, what are our votes being counted in another country for? Were you aware, and I'm only going to talk about the things that are in the white world that I can talk about. I'm not going to talk about classified information. But were you aware that those servers didn't belong to Dominion? They belong to the CIA. What is the CIA doing counting votes in an American election? Huh. Things that make you go, Now, here's what you probably don't know. Gina Haspel, the director of the CIA, was completely cut out of the loop on this operation. Servers and equipment and intelligence information under her direct control was impounded without her knowledge. I'd go back all the way to 1976 when I first got involved with intelligence. I can never remember an operation where the director of the CIA was removed from that operation. It's better. How many of you guys know of Christopher Wray? Ever heard that name? Director of the FBI. Christopher Wray was completely cut out of the loop on this operation. I cannot remember an operation of this type that involved information and some of the equipment for the FBI being impounded without the direct knowledge of the director of the FBI. Now, that alone says something in these servers is real important. Does it not? Yeah. It gets better. How many of you guys know the name Mike Esper? Secretary of Defense, U.S. Army. How many of you guys were aware he was fired last week? Came out of nowhere, right? Did any of you guys think about the night before how bad it was going to be for Mike to lose his job? Did any of you guys know he was going to lose his job? Neither did he. Do you know who impounded those servers in Germany?
Our Army.
The U.S. Army. The U.S. Army. And the Secretary of Defense was fired the day before. Think about that for uno momento. So Spanish lingo for you guys that are sensitive to immigration. He fired the Secretary of Defense, cut the director of the FBI out of the loop, cut the CIA director out of the loop, and pounded machines, not for the Trump administration, but for the Department of Justice. Huh. Things that make you go, huh. Why do you think this is?
Let's see if we can do just a little analysis here. We got 3 or 4 people here tonight. So let's see if we can figure this out. What do you think, sir?
They didn't trust anybody, so they had to use your
They had to go with people they could trust to do the job, because the FBI, the CIA, and the executive leadership of the United States Army could not be trusted to do the right thing. That sounds fairly serious to me, ladies and gentlemen. That tells me that there's something on these computers that nobody wants the world to really see. Stand by, Buttercup, because it's fixing to get real. When this comes out, and I'm not sure it will all come out in public, and nor should it, probably, but there is going to be an awful lot that comes out of this that is not good. Not good at all. There's going to be information on those servers that is going to be able to pinpoint a lot of the evidence that people say is not there. Why would they work so hard to hide something in another country? Why would they work so hard to cover something up if it was on the up and up? Do you work that hard to hide stuff from your kids? Well, it depends on what it is. Maybe that's a bad analogy. Now, I'm not going there. What you hide from your wife, that's between you and her, sir. I didn't say a word, babe. I promise. Here's the thing. Donald Trump knows, as does his executive team, that the leadership and the people responsible at very high levels of the U.S. government, that the American people trust to do their jobs, are no longer to be considered trustworthy to do their jobs. This is a very big deal. It is hard for me to understate how big a deal this is. There will be information that comes out of those servers. Those servers control the information. As the lady who spoke here very eloquently this evening, she was exactly right. Every one of the voting machines went through the internet to these servers and then to the county. That is not accidental. That is not innocent. And I don't think, this is just me personally, I don't think it's appropriate. This is all about the will of the American people. It has been, for my lifetime, and for the lifetime of those that came before us, that the American government works for and is responsible to and answers to the American people. When people, yeah, that's what it's called. When people talk about American exceptionalism, we're not talking about the fact that we're better than other people, because we're not. We're not talking about the fact that we're superior to other cultures, because we're not. But America has the only government on the face of the planet that reports to the American people. Every other government, the people work for the government. In America, the government works for us. Or do they? That is in change, and that is in jeopardy, and that cannot stand. If you ever want to know what's worth fighting for, that is worth fighting for. When the government begins to believe they run us instead of they work for us, that is a fundamental, dramatic transformation, which is what Barack Obama promised us. That is a dramatic transformation in the fundamental basics of our government. We either accept that, people, if you want to know, is this worth fighting for, it may not be worth fighting for the individual. Love him, hate him, I don't care. We're not doing this for Donald Trump. Well, maybe a little. I love the guy. We're doing this for our grandkids. We're doing this for our families. We're doing this for our future, because I'll be doggone if Wolf and his Secretary of Health or whatever, or Kamala Harris, going to tell us what we can and can't do. And if you want to think this is a conspiracy, here you go. This afternoon, I try to stay up. I drive my wife crazy doing research. Do you ever get off that phone? Yes, I do. Because you got to eat sometime. Congressman Dick Atkins, California. Yes, they're still part of the United States. Today came out and said, we need to implement World War II style re-education camps to re-educate 75 million Trump supporters. We need funding to put these re-education camps into place. That speech was made today. Representative Dick Atkins. I'm sorry, David Atkins. Representative David Atkins. Look it up. You don't have to trust me. These people are serious about taking over. Now that brings me to phase 2 of this. The Army impounded the servers belonging to the CIA in Germany. You know what? Every now and then I need duct tape on my head so that I can find the pieces when it explodes. Yesterday, Mike Pompeo, who I worked with when he was a commander of an Army intelligence battalion, and he was a good guy then, he's a good guy today. You can take that to the bank. You don't have to agree with anybody all the time. Mike Pompeo, he's a good guy. He can fly my 6 any day. Yesterday, he was in Jerusalem to meet with the foreign minister of Bahrain and Netanyahu in order to solidify the new peace deal between Bahrain and Israel. Gets better. Mike Pompeo gave a speech. He also said that there will be a very smooth transition between the Trump administration and the Trump administration for his second term. But he said something today or yesterday that was profound. He said, this initiative has been going on from the left and from a lot of the world United Nations leaders on boycott, divest, and sanction Israel, the BDS movement. He said it's not enough to condemn them. We need to put sanctions on any country and any organization that supports BDS. We need to cut off the funding that America gives them. We do. Wow. That is second only to moving the embassy to Jerusalem. That was an extraordinarily powerful moment. It was a powerful speech. It was a powerful sentiment because what it said, unequivocally, the Trump administration and the American government is no longer going to tolerate people who act in anti-Semitic ways against Israel or one of our allies. Concrete, specific, and painful. You cut off countries' money because they're doing stupid stuff, they no longer win stupid prizes. Think about this for a second. How does this have anything to do with the server in Germany? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. Donald Trump, here's where I'm going to talk specifically about President Trump. He is using every minute of his presidency to put into place, take action, and establish things that we collectively have been trying to do for years, and the swamp and the liberal establishment have been inhibiting and working against. He is solidifying this. Think about this for a second. Let's just say, God forbid, we have to use those words, President and Biden, in the same sentence. And Harris and Vice President as the pro temp of the Senate in the same sentence. Think how hard it is going to be for the left to reverse some of these very popular things. How hard they will do it. They will move the embassy out of Jerusalem. What do you think is going to happen when they do that? See, the left predicted that there would be rioting in the streets and blood running in the gutters if America moved the embassy to Jerusalem. How much rioting was there? None. How much bloodshed was there? Other than a couple of small terrorist attacks by the Palestinians, it was nothing. And what it led to, and we're going to talk about this, it led directly to these peace initiatives that the left has been telling us has been impossible for 40 years. Now, when Pompeo goes up there and says, oh, we're going to cut off the funding for anybody that is anti-Semitic and is adversarial to our allies, the left is going to overturn that and put that in the rearview mirror as well. What do you think is going to happen when they do that? Oh my word. It's not just going to make us look weak. It's going to generate rage. They were talking about blood in the streets and rioting. They don't understand what happens when we get upset.
No, they don't.
They drastically underestimate the American people who still believe in the fundamental foundational principles of this country. And we've been silent for too long. We stood silent as we, and I'm sorry, but I got to call them like I see them. I did not gain my reputation and intel by pulling my punches or saying what people wanted to hear. So if you don't like what I'm fixing to say, that's okay. You can take it up with my wife. We stood silent for too long as we killed 60 million babies. That's right. And we said somebody else will take care of it. For far too long when they took over our school systems and began to change the fundamental values and morals of our school children and began to teach them that immorality was morality. We stood silent. We stood silent for too long when they began to tell us how to think and what we could say. We stood silent when they began to riot and burn down places and blame us. And ladies and gentlemen, we cannot stay silent while they steal elections and overcome the will of the American people. Because I believe with every fiber of my being, I believe with everything that I'm seeing, I believe with all of the data that I've got access to, Donald Trump won this election, and it wasn't close, it was convincing. May God have mercy on our souls if we continue to stay silent. We can no longer say somebody else will take care of it. It is time for us to be somebody. Before Sam was talking about the young lady who said, I'm nobody, but look at what she did. I'm going to say, we're nobodies, well, we better become somebody. Because as long as nobody does what anybody could have done, that somebody could have accomplished, but everybody ignored, and nothing got done, we've got to be the somebody who changes that chain of events. We have to. There's too much at stake. I am no longer willing to let my grandchildren grow up in a socialist environment. I've now done business. I call it doing business. I guess that's what I'm allowed to do. I've done business in 55 countries. I've seen socialism. I've seen communism. I've seen the mass, unbelievable misery that these systems bring to their people. I have seen the devastation economically, physically, morally, spiritually, and societally that these systems bring. They have never once succeeded. And we always hear this, oh, well, it was because we didn't have the right people do it. We're the right people. Yeah, that's a statement of a moron. I believe Mike Pompeo stood on the mountaintop in Jerusalem yesterday and laid down a marker. He said, this administration, this country, will support our allies and will support Israel unequivocally. When was the last time you saw a president or his administration with those kind of cojones? And if we don't stand up, you're not going to see another one. Now let's get to the next piece of this. These servers in Pompeo are linked because the State Department is the only major agency that was not sidelined in all this, was it? Every other major agency, the FBI, the CIA, even the Army, was sidelined. The State Department is the only major influential organization or agency that was not sidelined. And Mike Pompeo, when all this was occurring, was preparing for his trip to Israel to sign another peace deal for the Middle East. You think those are consequential or random acts? No, they are directly linked. President Trump is using every minute of his presidency to put into place things that either cannot be overturned or when they are overturned are going to generate a backlash and a rage like the left has never seen. Now let's talk about the Middle East, because that's where Pompeo still is. How many of you guys are aware that the United Arab Emirates signed a peace deal, since the last time I talked with you, signed a peace deal with Israel? Now, it wasn't a full peace deal, but it was a major peace deal. Who's aware that Bahrain signed a peace deal with Israel? Who's aware Jordan already had a peace deal with Israel? Egypt. Jordan and Egypt have reinforced their deals behind the scenes. They did this because they absolutely believed Donald Trump was going to win this election. They've been running polls of their own that are not biased and contaminated, and they were convinced there was no way Trump was going to lose this election.
He did.
Saudi Arabia has been making major overtures toward Israel and has been moving towards that, and then they slam stop the moment that tally shifted. Because they know that a Biden administration will have a completely different perspective on the Middle East, and it will not be to the benefit of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the UAE, or Bahrain, or Oman. Who do you think the Biden administration is going to be focused on in the Middle East? Iran. Biden has already said he's going to re-engage in the and probably without making any new negotiations, he's probably just going to re-enter it. Iran already has 6 times more nuclear material than that treaty allowed them to have, and they're processing it at a furious rate. Now that brings me to another point. You guys may not be aware of this. While Pompeo was in Israel, guess what happened in downtown Tehran yesterday? I love this part. This just makes me warm all over. The number 2 Al-Qaeda executive commander was assassinated in downtown Tehran. Abu Mohammed bin Masari. I know him well.
Who did it?
And I am so glad to see him in the rearview mirror.
Did we
He's
do it?
not a good person.
Did we do it?
Iran did something very strange. They denied that he was there, denied that he was killed, and then expressed outrage that Israel killed him. I'm working on that. I'm trying to logically sort that out. Do you know when he was killed? Oh, this will blow your mind. August. It was announced yesterday. I've known since September, or the first week in September is when I found out about it. And you got to ask yourself, wait a minute, this might be better. Test. Okay. We got something. Something better than nothing, right? You got to ask yourself, in the middle of a presidential campaign, we take out the #2 Al-Qaeda executive leader. Trump doesn't say anything about it. Does that strike you as odd for a politician not to use something like that to his political advantage? Yeah, it says to me character, integrity, and there was a reason why they didn't want to put it out. But do you know who leaked it? Israel. Do you know why? I've got this behind the scenes. It's not classified, but I will not tell you who told me. They did it to say thank you to President Trump. You better talk about it. They did it to say thank you to President Trump, and to let the Iranians know that they know that the Iranians know that the Israelis know that they know. Yeah. They let the Iranians know that they can take anybody they want at any time in the heart of their capital, and the Iranians can't do a thing about it except issue pathetic press releases. Connected? Absolutely. Reversible? No way. All of this is being done to put into place items and actions and consequential things that is going to be very difficult for the liberals to reverse if they get into office. It's going to be up to us to support that. When they do stupid stuff, we're going to have to scream, stand up, and be counted loud and long. This no longer can be somebody else's battle. There's a lot of people here tonight. I'm glad to see you. Not because I'm speaking, but it gives me heart to see this many people who care. That's what it's going to take. But you're going to have to be willing to do more than sit in the chair and eat hot dogs and listening to some boring guy talk. You're going to have to be willing to risk something.
All right.
Now, the Founding Fathers were willing to risk their lives, their sacred honor, and all their possessions, and several of them did just that. They lost everything they owned. Some of them were killed. Some of them lost all their lands, their families. The only thing they got out of the Revolutionary War with was the clothes they were having on their back. Some of them suffered terribly. Yet they stood up and signed that document, and they pledged their lives and their sacred honor. They did something. How can we do anything less? How can we sit and watch TV and let somebody else bear that burden? Here's something I'm going to tell you. The government can crush one person at whim. The government can intimidate and overcome 100 people with very little effort. And you probably wouldn't even see it on the news.
Not 70 million.
You put 75 million people, you put 100 million people in downtown Washington, the government is powerless. If we do something individually, we're doomed. If we want to do something, what, 300 people here tonight? 250, 300, it's a good crowd. We would be crushed eventually. It's going to take all of us willing to stand up and fight, willing to stand up and sacrifice, and willing to stand up and risk our safety, our security, and our comfort to go do the things that are necessary to protect our grandkids and their way of life. I wish I could tell you it was something else. This is necessary. These servers, operated by the CIA. Who does the CIA work for? The President of the United States. Who does the FBI work for? The President of the United States. Who does the Secretary of Defense work for? The President of the United States. And these are the very people that are working to undermine him at every step. We can no longer trust the major agencies of our government. That's not wild-eyed conspiracy. You got to be a fool to not see that. Now I've got to ask a powerful question. So what? As I stand before you tonight, I'm trying to give you information that connects the dots behind the scenes. I'm trying to show you how all these things are connected behind, so that you can see this is huge. This is coordinated. It's connected. It's driven. It's purposeful. It is not accidental, and it is not random votes that just got kind of mismatched in the mix. This is the stuff that people write books about for 100 years. So what? Every single one of us in this room tonight have got to answer that question. So what? What are we going to do? Are we just going to holler at the TV? We're going to rage to our spouse and somebody's got to go do something? Or are we going to do what it takes to make sure the government hears what we have to say? The liberals are not the slightest bit bashful about standing up and screaming at us and telling us what we ought to think. Oh, you should just accept this. You should accept it. Well, I think we ought to accept this with the dignity and class that Hillary Clinton accepted in 2016. They spent 4 years disputing the output of that election. Al Gore had 37 days to contest the 2000 election. We're nowhere near close at. This ain't over. It's only over if we decide to let people who don't know what they're doing tell us it's over and we do nothing. When did the news media get the authority to call an election? That's not their job. The Electoral College decides who's the president. If the president doesn't concede, it's up to the Electoral College. If the Electoral College cannot resolve the issue, it goes to the House of Representatives by state. Each state gets one vote. The news media doesn't get to call the election. I'm sorry if I'm getting a little puffed up here. I'm upset about it. Fox News, I love Fox News, but they don't have the right to call the election. I no longer have Fox News on my cable system or my Sirius radio. I can listen to Al Jazeera and get the same crap. And oh, by the way, if you really want to know where I get some of my information, go watch Al Jazeera. They're more accurate than CNN ever will be. Serious to God. See, Al Jazeera will give you better news about America than CNN and MSNBC will. They're more accurate, they're less biased, and they are radical Islam. That's just fact. Guys, it's up to us. The time for whining, moaning, complaining, and waiting for somebody else to do something is over. It's either up to us or we just accept what's coming. As it says in the Bible, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And we will fight for America. there's so much more that ties all this together. But I'm out of time, and I want to give you an opportunity to ask some questions. Your hand was first, sir.
Like this summer, Bill Barr was announcing how he got the goods on the swamp. In September, it all died. And back in Georgia, down these people went off in the bar. So what's going on there?
Bad stuff.
What's the question?
The question was, Bill Barr has been saying they've got the goods on the organization that put together the Russia hoax and perpetrated fraud in America. And now it's been abandoned. It was not in August, it was officially abandoned last week. And that is because they announced they were very afraid of the trouble that they would be in if the Biden administration came in, and they were trying to mitigate what would happen to them. That's intimidation. That is influencing justice through intimidation. And for most of my life here in this country, that has been both illegal, immoral, unethical, but now it's real. I can't tell you how disappointed I am, but that's exactly what's happening. Yes, sir.
The move with Christopher Miller as a strong Washington cash hotel being put at the top of DOD now. Is that anything to do with what went on in Germany?
Yes. And if when Trump gets his second administration, he has learned a powerful lesson. Don't put somebody in as the head of an agency just because they're second in line. Trump makes some mistakes. Trump says some stuff. The Twitter thing gets to me every now and then, not because I wish he'd get off of it, I just wish he would think it through a little bit more. He's very effective on Twitter. But he's not the kind of individual that makes big mistakes twice. I don't know if you've noticed that. Trump does not make big mistakes twice. There will be a house cleaning in the second administration the likes of Washington has never seen.
I understand that these servers were supposed to be owned by a private company in Germany. Why?
Different servers.
Okay. You just gave a great description of our Justice Department backing down. So, you said that the Army seized these servers at the behest of the Justice Department.
Check.
Do you think anything will come of it?
Yes. Why? Because they would never undertake an operation of this magnitude unless A, they knew that there was something on those servers that was worth obtaining, and that they had the wherewithal and the ability to do something with it. This, as I said earlier, I cannot understate how big this is. The director of the CIA and the director of the FBI have never been cut out of an operation in their own organization before in my history, my life. Because on the unmasking scandal, that requires a lot of esoteric testimony and things that are not solid. You can't refute software that's right there. It's hard, tangible, irrefutable evidence. They don't have that in the unmasking scandal.
Question in the back here.
I'm
sorry.
That's 3 questions. Where? Yes, ma'am.
What do you make of the fact that Netanyahu reached out to Biden and congratulations after a very short period of time in this process?
He's a very smart politician.
Is that what it means?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, politician.
He's a very smart politician. He knows that there is a statistical probability that Biden may be elected president, and he is covering all his bases because he's taking care of the national interest of the Israeli people.
Another question back here.
Yes, sir.
I actually have 2 questions, sort of like unrelated. Number one is, does this have anything to do with the world order and the reset button?
Oh my. Yes, yes, and yes.
And the other question is concerning the servers. I'm aware of that. Well, why did that work when Hillary was running and Trump won? Because the fix was in. How did they mess up on it?
No, it wasn't the same fix. It wasn't the same software. It wasn't the same servers. It wasn't the same system. And there was not the massive fraud that there was today. I don't know if I told you.
And is Bill Clinton involved in it?
I don't know if I told you guys, but in 2016, I personally voted for Hillary Clinton. No. Swear to God. I was at the Pottstown polling place. I was watching as I selected my vote. I saw it when I hit the cast button, it flickered and it switched down to Hillary's, and my vote was cast for Hillary. I reported it to the U.S. Attorney General, to the state troopers, to the Pennsylvania Attorney General. That machine was shut down and taken out of service. I said then, and I say now, they were doing some trial runs, they were doing some experiments, and they worked. But I saw my vote switch in 2016 to Hillary Clinton. Broke my heart.
Is Q for real, and should we be following him?
Oh, we go all. Here we go.
I'm going to answer your question as honestly as I can. I don't care whether it's me, I don't care whether it's any other intelligence individual or anybody else who's got information along those lines. If they're honest with you, the best we can hope for is to be between 70 and 90% accurate. Nobody is ever going to be 100% accurate. It just doesn't happen. I have a reputation for being more accurate than most of the analysts. They asked me why that was. I said, you don't want to know the answer. They said, yeah, we do. And I said, well, I look at the information that comes in from the field. I look at the information from the people that we have that have done prior analysis, and I compare it to the Bible. They said, what? I said, yeah, I don't use the Bible as a principal source, but I also use the Bible in my analysis because, believe it or not, the Bible gives you insight into some of these things that are happening. I said, I can't explain it, but you want to know why I'm more accurate? That's why I use 3 different sources. I use the information, previous analysis, and I use the Bible. And they said, well, I don't know if we want to report that. I said, I told you you didn't want to know. You asked, I'm telling you. But no analyst, Q, none of us are ever going to be 100% accurate. That's an unreasonable expectation. In intelligence, you're trying to pick pieces of a puzzle. Imagine you got a 1,000-piece puzzle. And if you got 10 pieces of that puzzle, can you tell what the picture's going to be? Believe it or not, occasionally, if you got the right 10 pieces, I can say that's going to be a locomotive. A Pennsylvania locomotive. A friend of mine loves to make puzzles of locomotives. If you've got 100 pieces, I can figure out a little bit more accurately what that picture is, but I can't give you all the details. If I've got 700 pieces of that 1,000-piece puzzle, I can pretty much tell you what's going on. I don't know if anybody's got 1,000 pieces to a 1,000-piece puzzle. Not into them. So, are they accurate? Should you follow them? Use your judgment, use your common sense. That is a big part of understanding and analyzing information that's coming in. Does it fit the pattern? Or is it simply, listen to me closely, or is it simply reinforcing what I want to believe? For me, that's a red flag. If everything I'm seeing simply reinforces what I want to believe, I throw it away. I start over. I always do.
Question back
Get me
here.
out of trouble.
Question back here.
Okay, then you're next, sir.
I just have a quick comment about what you said earlier about calling our legislatures. I called Josh React earlier. He called me back, he left a message. It was disheartening to know that they're going to pass this legislation for the audit, but he admitted in my voicemail, I was having my phone, that Wolf won't sign it. So it's a moot point. So we got to fight, we got to scream to Wolf and anybody that we can.
Do you remember what I said about one person will get crushed? 100 people will be defeated. 100 million can change the world and cause a government to be paralyzed. Just you calling your representative, not going to be that effective. Number one, you got to call your representative, your congressman, your senator. You've got to call them repeatedly. And everybody's got to do the same thing. They won't listen to one person. You're a nuisance. They listen to numbers. And the bigger the numbers and the more passionate the voices of those numbers, the more scared they get. You have to create fear in the heart of a representative. I hate to say that. That's what they, and what's the one thing they fear? Getting voted out. That's the one thing you can count on they will always pay attention to. We all have to stand up. If they're representing us, they've got to hear from you loud and long to where they just want to make it stop. Then they will do something. Yes, sir.
With the technology being corrupted by these leftists, should we have CVs? What can we communicate between each other in some way that, if it gets to a bad situation?
Bonnie, I did not ask him to ask that question. His question, if you couldn't hear it, was how do we stay in contact with each other now that technology has been corrupted? I don't know if you've noticed it, but the censorship for conservatives is rampant. It's not just a little bit anymore. They're now deplatforming major sources of our information. They're trying to cut us off from the world. They're trying to isolate us and separate us. I see this in other countries. This is exactly what happened in Cambodia. Precisely what occurred in North Vietnam. It's what happens routinely in China. Do you want me to keep going? I never thought I'd see this in my country. So should you get CBs? Should you get multi-band VHF, FM radios? Yes. And which ones you get and how you use them, God bless you. But here's what I'm also going to tell you. No one person, no family can ever defend a home. There's a reason why no army in the world builds forts. They used to. They're completely ineffective. You've got to form a community. And I'm not advocating for militias. I'm not advocating for anything other than common sense. Since we are being cut off of social media, which is the dominant form of communication in our country today, we have to establish alternative forms of communication so that we can stay connected. How many of you guys have heard me say something here tonight you didn't know? Raise your hand. I rest my case. Whether it's these face-to-face issues or whether it's some kind of telephonic network, I wouldn't trust cell phones any further than I can throw mine. But also the FAA can trace and track radios, but it's much more difficult. So yeah, the answer is yes. You figure it out. The last thing I'll say about that is I did a radio show and a a podcast a couple of years back called Behind the Lines with J.R. McGee. I've gotten so much response and people asking me. I made the decision that after Christmas in January, I'm going to restart that podcast. That's what I'm going to do to try to foster a network. I'll let you guys know. I'm sorry, this gentleman back here. You can't hog all the questions, sir. They were good questions. Yes.
I'll tell you what I've been doing with neighbors and some of the young people are angry and they want to fight with guns, want to mess around. I've been trying to organize them as a survival group, not a war group. Could you give me a pointer on how to get them more interested? They know things are wrong, but they're young, they have no...
You're asking me to go right up to the hairy edge of the line here. I'll answer your question this way, twofold. Yeah, and I can see, you know exactly what I'm fixing to say. Nobody wants to see war come. We've been there. We do not want that. That is the last, I don't ever want to go through that again. I don't. My legs are full of shrapnel. My skull still leaks spinal fluid. I don't need that. But you can ask my family, would I be willing to defend my family, my community, my country again? Yes. But I would do it. Necessary to get the job done. You need to convince them there's other ways to shoot somebody. Because by the time you get to that level, everything else is gone. And the enemy always gets a vote. The enemy always gets a shot. Yeah, young guys, gotta love them. They've got energy, they've got the stamina, they got the passion, and they've got the stupidity to make it work. You've got to show them the right way, and the best way to do that is through your example.
CR, can we do 2 more questions?
2 more questions.
In the event that Whitmer takes the oath of office and becomes president, how soon will an unmarked plane take a midnight flight for $57 million to Tehran?
Well, it's already been done once. All I can tell you is what the man has said. The man has said he's going to make it his priority to, as quickly as possible after he assumes the office, to re-enter into the agreement with Tehran. And I believe that based on his prior history, he's going to believe that he needs to buy that access rather than use leverage. And I think he'll probably give them whatever they want. That's just based on its history. He's certainly not adverse to taking money from other countries. So, do I expect $157 billion? I don't know. I don't know exactly what they'll do. All I can tell you is what the man said. I can tell you what he's done in the past, and I believe those are good indicators for what he'll do in the future.
Last question, JR.
Last question.
Do you trust Attorney General Barr? Can he be trusted?
Yes, I trust Attorney General Barr. He is under tremendous pressures from all sides. He has done a magnificent job in trying to be fair and unbiased. He's getting caught between extraordinarily powerful forces. I know that they threatened his family. I know that they threatened a lot of the employees at the upper level of the Department of Justice. They're doing their very best to maintain a level of credibility and integrity under extremely difficult circumstances. If I was in his job, I am not sure I could do as good a job as Bill Barr's done. With that being said, I'm very disappointed that there's now 2 sets of laws in this country. There's a set of laws for them, a set of laws for us. That's another situation I am not willing to accept. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for
We don't know, and he wish he could tell us everything, but I think it'll make our heads.
I got one more thing. I want to thank the teachers that did this. I can't read it right now because there's so many particles and dust out of the ventilation system that gets in your eyes. But I'm going to read this when I get home, and I want you to give a special thank you to those little boys and girls for doing things like this, because this has true meaning.
Absolutely. Sarah, really appreciate it. Okay, folks, we're going to have a 50-50 raffle, and we're going to end the meeting with prayer, so hold tight, please. Hold tight. Beth, do a 50-50 raffle. Have someone, anybody here? Anybody? Pick somebody. This gentleman in the front here. Beth?
All right, we have 524972.
524. 524-972. 524-972. Where? Do I hear someone over here? Where? Come on up, come on, come on. How much is it about?
So the total is 350.
Wow, 175. Thank you so much. There you go. Great. Thank you. Linda, thank you all for participating. Linda's going to end our meeting. Before she does, I just want to make sure you all know December 10th, we're having our Honor Our Veterans. That's the second Thursday. We normally meet the third Thursday, but before Christmas, we always do that up. So the second Thursday, December 10th. Okay? Thank you. Here's Linda.
Lord, please watch over us all as we make our way home. And don't forget, we gotta fight. We gotta stay together, we gotta fight, and Trump's gonna win, you know it. Lord, you're telling me this ever since the election, that he's gonna win, and I feel it in my heart, and I know with your guidance and help, thank you so much. Have a good day. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving!
Thank you all for your support, and don't forget, stay out of the rain.